Welcome back to another episode of the Lonely Liberal Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Zankin, and I'm so happy to have you on this pretty gloomy Wednesday. I'm not going to lie. Hopefully it's not gloomy whenever you are listening. And I'm certainly feeling a little less gloomy now that we're talking. My God, I'm so happy to talk. We got a good one for you today, and you might have noticed from looking at the title that a little bit more conspiratorial than we normally cover here on The Lonely Liberal. But I'm just a guy. I like to know what's going on, and it's a really interesting story. Apparently, there's been all these nuclear scientists that have been either being killed or disappearing, and now that we have Congress talking about it, we had Trump make a comment about it, feels like it's crossed over to very legit, or at least worth talking about, because I think that we're going to see more and more headlines about this as the days go on. So wanted to give a rundown of what we know, what we don't know, and it's really interesting, so I'm excited to talk about it. But before we do, just some quick housekeeping. So there will be no show on Sunday. I will be out of the country, so sorry about that, folks. We will, I'm pretty sure, have every show going on normally next week, but don't quote me on that. You'll hear from me if anything gets delayed or moved, but just wanted to tell you about Sunday. And also I wanted to restate our new email. There's a new email for the pod. It's media@thelonelyliberal.com, media@thelonelyliberal.com. We've grown up. We have a website. It's not much, but it now comes with an email address. So if you want to reach out about whatever, that's the email. Go for it. And one last thing before we go on, I just wanted to cover a few of the big news stories that have happened this week, because I do know that a lot of you listen for what's going on. You rely on the show for the news, because clicking on a news article in 2026 is depressing, and I do not blame you. So I thought I'd just really quickly go over basically the two biggest news stories of the week so far. My God, who knows what'll happen tomorrow or Friday or whatnot. So it could get crazy. But at least as of now, when I'm recording this on a Wednesday afternoon, these are probably the two biggest stories. And the first one is that the Secretary of Labor, or Labor Secretary as they're often referred to, Lori Chavez de Remer, has officially stepped down, making the third secretary to no longer be employed by the Trump administration, to lose their job. She now joins the ranks of Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem, so what a group. And she is interesting because she's been under investigation the last few weeks for misconduct. There's been a lot of drama with her, and she hasn't got as much attention. I mean, we haven't covered it that much because the labor secretary isn't as significant as some of these, more prominent secretaries, like the Secretary of Defense or Homeland Security and stuff like that. But that's more of a relic of the Trump administration being so insane rather than a lack of importance. The Labor Department is very important. So it's in a normal situation under a normal administration, this would be huge news because it's a big deal. And just to give a little rundown of what's going on, so the Inspector General's office, which is the nonpartisan group that looks at what's going on, they've been investigating a complaint that she was having a sexual relationship with a member of her security team. And there's also been other allegations of inappropriate behavior, such as sending staff to pick up liquor and attempting to use business trips as excuses for personal travel. Apparently UFC fights, Morgan Wallen concerts, and stuff like that. Again, that's all alleged, and frankly, she has now no longer employed, so who's to say what'll happen out of that? So another one bites the dust. That's 3. I'm not sure it's a coincidence, but 3 women have been cut. Next, and this one just happened very recently, the state of Virginia has decided to redistrict. So like many states, since Trump initiated this redistricting effort in Texas last year, we talked about it a lot on the show, a lot of states, both Republican and Democrat, have started their own as this kind of tit-for-tat kind of sad retaliation game. So no one really loses an advantage during the midterms. It's awful. Gerrymandering's awful. But just honestly, Trump started at this weird time, not historically, but in a mid-decade at the request. It's both parties have a bad track record of this, but this current wave was definitely initiated by Trump in Texas. And in Virginia, the people have voted to go along with gerrymandering the map, and this is working out in the Democrats' favor, giving them up to 4 new seats if votes go as you would expect. Again, a win for the Democrats, kinda, but it's just a sad state of affairs. I'm not pro-gerrymandering at all, but their hands were effectively tied after what Texas did. So it's kind of a good thing, but it's also a sad can of worms that our petty president is now probably regret opening. Okay, that's the little abbreviated news roundup. Now let's go talk about some conspiracies. What the hell's going on with these nuclear scientists? I'm really happy to have you. Let's get to it. All right, so I keep calling this a conspiracy theory, but it really isn't, kind of. I mean, the FBI is now actively investigating this. Members of Congress are calling this a national security threat, and the White House has even briefed Trump on this. So it's definitely gaining a lot of traction as being a very legitimate thing. I guess why I keep thinking of it as a conspiracy theory is that it's not technically a thing. It's a theory, and a theory of a conspiracy. So, who's being literal? What a pedantic guy I am. But let's talk about the people who have gone missing. Now, remember, these folks either worked in nuclear sciences or aerospace sciences, and they definitely all had national secrets when it came to those things. So that's kind of the umbrella thread line between the 10. So we have Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casillas. These both worked at Los Alamos lab. They vanished weeks apart, both leaving behind their car, keys, wallet, and phone. We had Monica Reza. She was the JPL director of materials processing, and she vanished on a hike in the Angeles National Forest, and she's never been found. We have Steven Garcia, the government contractor who oversaw nuclear weapons in Kansas City. He was last seen on surveillance footage leaving his house with a handgun. Retired Air Force Major General Neil McCasland, he disappeared from Albuquerque, his house, also with a revolver in his hand. We have Nuno Lorio, director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He was shot and killed in his home outside of Boston in December. You may remember this. It was like with the Brown stuff. There was all that drama. You have Carl Grillmeyer. He was a Caltech astrophysicist who worked on NASA's asteroid detection systems. He was shot in his house in February, just a few months ago. And we have Jason Thomas, who is a pharma researcher who had active DoD contracts, and he disappeared in December. His body was found in Massachusetts 3 months later in a lake. So that's all spooky, right? There are some common threads other than the fact that they're all scientists. One is that this Los Alamos and Albuquerque area is close together. A lot of them also left belongings behind, phones, wallet, cars, like I said. And also 2 of the people who were missing had handguns with them. Now, this is America, right? So maybe people just were carrying guns, but spooky stuff. And I briefly mentioned the response that's happening, but just to, make it more specific. So like I said, the FBI is now officially leading a coordinated investigation on this, but with the Department of Energy and local agencies. And this mostly came out of the kind of commentary from the House Oversight Committee. And the chairman of that committee, James Comer, and Rep. Eric Burleson, they're both Republican, by the way, they have formally launched an investigation this week. So they sent these letters to the FBI, DOE, NASA, Department of Defense, and I just wanted to quote them, so give me a second. Comer called this a national security threat and said it's very unlikely this is a coincidence. And Burleson said this has all the hallmarks of a foreign operation, and he's working with both Dems and Republicans. Caroline Leavitt also, right, the press secretary, she said something, and she said, I'll look into it. Trump also said he'll look into it, but he said it was pretty serious stuff. I hope it's just a coincidence. And Former FBI official Chris Swecker says the pattern matches exactly how several foreign powers operate: abduction, blackmail, or even killing scientists to extract intel. So that's a lot of senior people thinking that this could be connected. And you've already started, hearing speculation about foreign operations, Russia, North Korea, Iran, stuff like that. I mean, it does sound like that, but I guess it is important to know what we do know and what we don't know, right? There has been no official connection between any of these cases. None of that's confirmed. Hence why, it's in the conspiracy bucket, right? The other thing is that some of these cases have just mundane explanations of their own. Rather, an elderly retiree going missing, a stranger just shooting someone, stuff like that. And, we're all very hardwired in a way to see patterns that maybe don't exist. I mean, that's kind of the natural instinct of all conspiracy theories. However, I think it's worth saying, when a former FBI official, multiple congresspeople, and now the president himself are taking it seriously, we should probably be taking it seriously. And so the answer is probably, we don't know what the hell's going on. This investigation is brand new, but I don't love it. I don't know what else to say. I don't love it. It freaks me out a bit. It seems like it's too weird to be a coincidence, but who's to say? Like I said, we don't really know enough yet, but I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this because I think we're going to be hearing a lot about this over the coming weeks. And let me tell you right now, if this does turn out to be a coordinated foreign intelligence operation, targeting American nuclear scientists, this will be one of the biggest national security stories in years. And frankly, given the state of the world and given the state of Trump's temperament and his ability, tendency to react to his blood sugar levels, if it ends up being true, this could cause hell. I mean, imagine this turns out to be caused by Iranian things or whatnot. Like, this could be crazy. But if it's a coincidence too, we'll find out and we should know. That's the thing. We definitely need to find out what's going on. And we do deserve answers because it's crossed that line into serious enough and real enough that now we need to know what the heck's going on. And you can keep tuning in because we'll keep reporting on it. And that's our show, folks. Thank you so much for listening today. If you like the show, please give it a review wherever you listen, on YouTube, like and subscribe. You know the drill. More importantly, just tell someone. That's actually been literally the entire way this show has grown, word of mouth, and it is very appreciated. So let someone know. Send it on. Hey, you know that guy? Or, hey, you may like this guy who talks about stuff. Very, very appealing. I'm sure that'll get a click. But no, just to remind everyone. So, yeah, no show this Sunday, and we'll be back. So that'll do it. Until then, keep it together. Take it easy. Have some fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye.